Okay, so I'm live again. We'll see if people are up. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some thoughts about the constellation Sagittarius and why Sagittarius is the original placement of the ninth house. Why Sagittarius is ruled over by Jupiter. And what Sagittarius really is. Sagittarius is the sign of spirituality. And the ninth house is the house of spirituality. And I'm going to be sharing with you what spirituality really is, because it may not be what you think it is. And all this from finding out that our ancestors, who did not have access to the understandings that we have in modern science, how they were saying things that we're just now discovering about the truth of our universe. And so we're going to be talking about Sagittarius. So let's see, it is 11:50 a.m. on a Saturday here. Actually, I realize now I got a little ahead of myself because normally I do these on the weekends in the US, but it's still Friday. So we may not get any people here today, but in any case, I still wanted to do this video. Let me see. So a few people are starting to show up. So we'll just see what happens here. So Sagittarius. By the way, I'm going to be talking from a Vedic astrological perspective. If you're not familiar with Vedic astrology, you can go up here to this link, astrology.thunderwizard.com, and I believe on that page I give you an understanding of what Vedic astrology is. This is not Western astrology. So what I'm going to say next might be a problem for some people. Because there is a lot of people who don't know the difference between Western astrology and Vedic astrology. And there's a lot of people who, coming from a good place with good motivations and a good heart, want to include. And so they want to say, oh, well, Western is this and Vedic is that, and it's apples and oranges, and, we shouldn't exclude or discriminate or judge. But here's the fact of the matter. Western astrology is off by 24 degrees. Western astrology uses the tropical zodiac. The tropical zodiac is based on where you look at the sky from the earth. And if you're pointed in the wrong direction, looking out from the earth to the sky, you use the tropical zodiac. The problem with that is that it is inaccurate. Now, this goes back 2,000 years when the tropical zodiac and the sidereal zodiac were lined up. And it didn't matter which one you were using, you were seeing the same sky above you. But the orientation of the earth, it wobbles, it has changed, and the sky has changed. And so now what is happening is if you are using the tropical zodiac, your calculations are going to be off by 24 degrees. And what that means is that many times your planets will be in different signs and different houses. Your ascendant will be in a different sign, different house, even your sun sign. So all the stuff that you look at, I mean, it's almost impossible for me to even discuss anything with somebody who doesn't know the difference, because they'll say, oh, I'm a Taurus, and they have no idea that even if we're just looking at where their sun is placed, they might be completely in a different sign. So we're talking about Vedic astrology, which is the astrology that the East Indians used, and they were smart enough to figure out how to use the sidereal zodiac as opposed to the tropical zodiac. In any case, that's what we're going to be talking about. All right, so Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the ninth sign. And it's the 9th sign because originally, the original placement of Sagittarius is the 9th house. Now, Sagittarius will probably be in a different house in your chart, but unless you're in Aries, in which case it's right where it belongs. And Sagittarius is lorded over by Jupiter. Okay, so this is important to understand. The name for Jupiter in Vedic astrology is Guru. It's the same word that they use for teacher. Guru is just the Sanskrit pronunciation of the English word grave, Grave. Now we associate grave with, where you die, which is interesting, and this will make more sense as we continue to talk about it. But the actual meaning of the word grave is heavy. The meaning of the word guru is heavy. So Jupiter has this name of heavy. Now heavy, as we understand it, has to do with gravity. And gravity is the result of mass. You don't have to worry about that. I barely understand it myself. And I believe that Jupiter, except for the Sun, Jupiter has the most mass of any planet in our solar system. So hold on to that, because Sagittarius is the constellation that Jupiter lords over. So that means everything that is associated with Jupiter is also going to be associated with Sagittarius. So remember, the name of Jupiter is heavy or massive. That's a better way to put it, massive. Because heavy is our experience of gravity here on Earth, but then there's this whole thing of mass, which is something else. So mass determines gravity. The more mass something has, the heavier it is. That's why you can have something that's small but really heavy, and something that's big but really light. It's big, but it doesn't have a lot of mass, so it's not very heavy. It's small, but it has a lot of mass, therefore it's heavy. So the gravity, it has greater gravity. So remember that the name of Jupiter is Guru, which also means heavy, means massive. And Sagittarius happens to be located at the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. So if you look at pictures of, do I have a galaxy? Oh, I've got it on this thing right here. So if you look at the center of this, right here, that is, basically what galaxies look like. Now, inside of that is, trillions of stars and billions of solar systems. And so if you're looking at this, right above the X on galaxy, where it says the center of our galaxy is a supermassive black hole, you see that little blue thing? That is pretty much where our solar system is in comparison to the center, which is, you see there, a black hole. Now, if you look at it through a telescope, you won't see a black hole because you can't see them. What you'll see is a bunch of really, really bright stars and all of that. And that's because there's a supermassive black hole in the center of our galaxy. So what is a black hole? A black hole is, it has so much mass that the gravity of it is so intense that even light can't escape. And so black holes are usually in a state of either feeding or non-feeding. A feeding one is one where material, planets, galaxies, stars are being sucked into the gravity well of it, and so all kinds of things happen. They get distorted, they get torn to pieces, and they get swallowed up by the black hole. But that is why our solar system and everything else is rotating around the center, and the center is a black hole. So what did I say about Sagittarius? Sagittarius is ruled over by Jupiter. The name of Jupiter in Sanskrit is Guru, which means massive or heavy. So what does that tell you? Jupiter is itself the most massive planet in our solar system, but it also is a window to the center of our galaxy. So, bear in mind, we live in this infinite universe with infinite numbers of galaxies, and so far, according to science now, they have come to the belief that all galaxies have supermassive black holes in them, and that you can't have a galaxy without these supermassive black holes, and that's why galaxies are rotating around like that. They all do it because there's this black hole in the center, which has so much mass in it. Something like, I don't even know what it is, but it's like tens of millions of times more massive than our sun. That's how much gravity. Remember that that gravity is a result of mass. The more mass, the more gravity. Gravity, Jupiter, same word. So what is it that we're doing when we seek spirituality? We seek spirituality because we want to feel better. Let's just face it. People get into religion because they want to feel better. And then you have religions. There's all kinds of sects like this in every religion. Hinduism, by the way, is not a religion. Hinduism is a collection of a bunch of religions of India. And so even within the Hindu religions, you'll have savior-like religions very similar to the Abrahamic, worship of Krishna. I know somebody who's a Krishna devotee, and even though she doesn't live like this, but if you talk to really hardcore Krishna devotees, they sound almost identical to Christians. Christians who talk about Jesus. Jesus is the truth and Jesus is everything, and follow Jesus and you'll be saved. Krishna devotees do the same thing. They talk about Krishna is everything, follow Krishna, you'll be saved, and it's almost identical. In fact, you can just take big paragraphs of them talking about Krishna and just replace Krishna with Jesus, and you won't be able to tell the difference between them and a Christian. And I'm focusing on this because when we go after spirituality, what we're really wanting to do is we're wanting to go back to the emptiness, which is death. This is what we're really wanting to do. But because this is such a frightening thing, we look for the things that make us feel good, like Jesus died on the cross to save us, Krishna loves you, whatever it is. Love and light, and everything is good. And it's interesting because we're racing towards death, all the while trying to talk ourselves into feeling better and feeling good about it and eternal life and all that. And it's sort of like, racing towards the event horizon of a black hole and telling yourself that inside the black hole everything is wonderful. Now, I don't know what's inside of a black hole. What I do know is that once matter hits the event horizon and goes beyond the event horizon, that whatever gets pulled into a black hole gets completely obliterated. It gets torn to shreds, and it's so intense that the gravity, like if you get pulled in, the gravity at your feet is far more intense than the gravity on your head, and you get stretched. And then of course you just get obliterated, and then whatever's left, whatever molecules are left, we think, goes to this singularity, which is an infinitely small space with infinite gravity. It's just from our perspective, from the outside, it's the absolute, utter hell. It's just the worst hell you can imagine. But this is what we seek, which is guru, heaviness, massiveness, the black hole. And when we look towards Sagittarius, and when we worship the powers associated with Sagittarius, which is spirituality. What we are really doing is we're racing towards our annihilation. And so to completely understand this, I don't know, Pete, I don't know. So I don't know if anybody who's new to this, who doesn't know how this works, let me explain it to you. This is a question and answer. And so at some point, if you have a question, you're welcome to write the word question and give me a question. I'm not interested in just people throwing comments out here. There's one out here which I find offensive, so I'm going to remove that comment. I don't know you, so I don't know what your intention was, but anybody's welcome to be on this channel, and anybody's welcome to ask a question. And when we get to that point, you can write down your question anytime you want, but this is a question and answer. All right, so now to understand what Sagittarius is all about, we need to understand some other things. So in Vedic astrology, there are these things called nakshatras. Now, why is it that Vedic astrology and Western astrology are so similar? Well, the reason for that is because the astrology that we understand, that has the 12 houses and the 12 signs, that comes from a society which no longer exists, which used to be in what is now Afghanistan. And it was a city-state, and they worshipped the stars and the planets. They were astronomers and astrologers. And so wise men from Greece and wise men from India both traveled to this city-state to learn their science of astrology, and they went back to their separate homelands. Greeks brought to us what we now know of as Western astrology. When you open up the newspaper, that's basically Greek astrology. Vedic astrology is the astrology of India, and what they did is they took the knowledge of this 12 sign, 12 house astrology, and they pasted it on top of their existing lunar mansion astrology. And so they had divided up the sky into nakshatras, which are lunar mansions or lunar star constellations. And so underneath each sign, there's also going to be nakshatras. So the nakshatra for the center of the universe, which is 0 degrees of Sagittarius. So and this again is in Vedic, not Western astrology. So 0 degrees of Sagittarius, there is a nakshatra called Mula. Mula, the name Mula, when you translate it into English, it means the root. It means the depth. It means exactly what it turns out to be. And this is the interesting part of it. Because the center of our galaxy, the Mula of our galaxy, is a black hole. So Sagittarius is about everything associated with the black hole. And because it is perhaps the whole reason that galaxies form, we could call it the source. So every time that we deal with Sagittarius, or Jupiter for that matter, what we're doing is we're going all the way back to the source, the root of existence. Some people might call it God. I don't use that word, but some people might. And this is why, the truth of the matter is people, especially, the Jehovah is so frightening. It's because we sense that the center of our existence comes from this hellacious black hole that is devouring all of the stars and the planets that are coming anywhere near it. And it comes anywhere near it in its gravity, and it tears it apart and consumes it. And we don't even know what's at the center of it. Now, according to science, all of the rules of physics breaks down inside. I mean, mathematically, they just can't figure out what goes on because none of the rules apply anymore. And so this is the center of our galaxy. So Mula is ruled over by the planet Ketu. So generally speaking, Sagittarius is ruled over by Jupiter. But the exact center of the galaxy, the exact beginning of Sagittarius, is ruled over by the planet Ketu. So what is Ketu? We've been talking about Ketu. Ketu is the south node of the moon. And Ketu represents annihilation. Rahu is the north node of the moon, and Rahu represents that which brings you into manifestation, the desires that bring you here to become human. This is from a result of your desires. This is Rahu, the north node of the moon. What takes you out of this existence? What takes you out of this existence is Ketu. Ketu destroys. It annihilates. It does everything that a black hole does. It represents emptiness. Ketu has no head, cannot see, cannot think, is just basically pure intuition and pure empathic understanding. And wherever Ketu is in your chart, Ketu brings great depth and wisdom, but also destroys whatever's there that has to do with physical reality. Again, exactly what a black hole does. And Ketu is inescapable. We could say that Ketu is the most powerful of the planets because Ketu represents death. Death is unavoidable. We cannot avoid it. It's the one thing we truly cannot avoid is death, annihilation. And that's what happens when you think about it. Your identity, everything becomes annihilated. Since we don't know what happens at the center of a black hole, we in our physical incarnation do not understand what happens. We do not understand what happens when we die. It's a mystery. Maybe inside a black hole is heaven, is paradise. But from our perspective, all we know is that physical matter gets completely destroyed. So, how do we apply this to the ninth house? The ninth house has to do with spirituality. And this is the true essence of spirituality. This is why historically we've always had people who are priests, shamans. They always have this air of mystery about them. And this mystery has to do with being torn apart. So, there you go. This is just something for you guys to think about. I got ahead of things. I thought today was Saturday in the rest of the, world, but it's actually Friday, so I got a little ahead of myself. I'll take any questions. I do see there's one here. No, I don't. That's just a comment. All right, no questions. So, if you are interested in knowing what is going on with your ninth house, with your Sagittarius sign, if you're interested in knowing how all of this, the center of our universe, where it is in your chart. For instance, in my chart, it's in the fifth house. The fifth house has to do with study. And as it so happens, Ketu is, even though it's not in Mula, Ketu is also in my fifth house. So that gives you an understanding about why I study I try to go as deep as possible into the origin of things, because that again is what Mula is. So if you want to find out where yours is and what role this power is playing in your life, you can go up here to astrology.thunderwizard.com and you can get a reading from me or any one of my apprentices. You can also go up here and click subscribe or hit the bell button so you'll be notified whenever I've got a video coming up. So anyway, since I don't see any questions here, I'm going to go ahead and leave that where it is. That's it. Let me just give you the other links to look at here as well. So the other links that you want to be aware of is courses.thunderwizard.com. That has access to all of my books, all of my videos, all of my streaming video teachings, All of my services, everything will be on courses.thunderwizard.com. And listen, it's really important that you guys make use of these links. I get emails almost on a daily basis of people wanting to ask me really general questions about things that I spend hours talking about on this channel and in my books and in my teachings. And so the more time that you spend perusing those links and making use of those resources, the better your time will be spent. You won't have to send me little emails saying, what does this mean, and who is this, and what is that? You know, it's already been taught. If it's something that goes deeper than that, then you can go to thunderwizard.com and you can learn how to study the shamanism that I teach from beginning to end. We'll teach you everything you need to know about real shamanism, and you can learn how to interact with me on a one-on-one basis. So that's it for me today, unless there's any last minute questions, which I doubt. Let's take a look. Nope, no questions. All right, that's it for me today. All right, guys, I will see you soon.